Hey guys, welcome to another episode of 180 Briefs. Out in the wild, if you will. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying some of the weather this week, especially today where it's like 70 or something. It's amazing. I'm out here with my trusty sidekick, Twix. There she is. The rest of the family is either kayaking or doing some archery somewhere on this beautiful property that we're out. So, if you told anyone that you love them lately this week, have you told anyone just, or checking on anyone, see how they're doing? Well, yesterday I got a call from our buddy Sixto, and that was pretty cool. He was just checking up on me and checking up on the 180 family and spent some time praying with me. And then at the same time, within a couple hours, John, who also speaks at 180 often in rotation, or at least a year ago, he was checking in on us and was planning on being in town and wanted to see if the 180 family was meeting, which, as you know, we're not physically, but him and his family were going to be in the neighborhood and they wanted to stop by, but I told them, sorry, you can come to my house, but you just can't meet us at 180 because we won't be there. So anyway, I know I keep driving everybody nuts with the sun thing. So yeah, it was good talking to people. It was good checking in, and I have to admit I'm really bad at that lately. I've got my regulars that I'll check in with, like the Morrisons or the Healys, because they're family. Or hey, and Michael I recently saw. Liz we text back and forth. Jen we text back and forth, and I take her to the airport, so she's visiting her buddy Jacob. And so, but there's a lot of you that I haven't had the chance to reach out to, and I'm sorry for that, and I hope to get better, especially this week, making it my week mission to call everybody I know from the 180 family. I'm trying to dodge people. I'm on a path, and I don't want to be in everybody's way as they're coming down, so I might have to pause this a couple times as people walk by. So in fact, I'm going to do that right now. I'll be back. So anyway, here I am. Found another spot that's a little off the beaten path, but it's a little windy here. So this week's speaker is Pastor Jason, and you're going to notice that his video is the opposite of mine. And what I mean by that is, it's nice and sunny here. His video is very dark, but there's a point to that. So bear with it. There's parts where it gets better, but just listen to his voice, and it's a really good message, and I hope you enjoy it. And next week, our guest speaker will be Pastor Elizabeth. If you have any prayer requests, reach out to me. Give me a call. Love to pray with you. Or just leave it on my voicemail and let me know what's going on, and we'll go from there. Or for those of you who don't have my phone number, you can reach out at 180hsdac@gmail.com. That's 180, the initials of Hinsdale Seventh-day Adventist Church, at gmail.com. Reach out. Love to hear from you guys. Let us know how we can pray for you. Let us know if we can join you in some praises or whatever the case is, or just let us know how you're doing. Love to hear your voice. Miss you guys. Hopefully we'll all see each other soon. Maybe we'll do something crazy and do another Zoom thing. We haven't done that in a very long time. So I'll talk to you guys later. There's people looking at me and waving at me. And I'll see you guys later. Love you. Bye.
Hey, 180 family. It's Pastor Jason. I'm out for a walk, an evening stroll in my neighborhood. I'm enjoying the really great November weather we're having. Who has weather like this in November in Chicago? I mean, it's pretty awesome, right? So I'm out enjoying the weather. I hope you're enjoying it too. And I'm walking because this is where I'm headed with this whole thing. I'm headed in the direction of talking about walking. So, here's the story. Here's the deal. I always like to draw things from my own life and be honest and forthright and forthcoming about the things that I'm dealing with. And so, just really honestly, I've kind of had a rough week. There's been a lot of just challenging things happening and challenging things that are popping up on the horizon, and just things, right? Just life, just work stuff, church stuff. And it's okay, I'm not complaining. Don't hear that I'm complaining. I'm not, I don't need an attaboy or whatever. Although, those never hurt. I wouldn't reject it either. But what I'm really saying is just kind of had a rough week. And there are times when we face, I wouldn't even call it resistance. There are just times when we face uncertainty. We feel like God has called us to do something very specific, and we question ourselves. Or maybe we've gotten into something that we don't know for sure that God called us to, but we're in the middle of it anyway. We're still trying to bring Him glory. We're still trying to give Him honor, and we're questioning ourselves. So, I was facing that this week. I feel like God has called me to something. He's called me to something specific, and I'm doing it to the best of my ability. I think I have a clear word from God and direction. But to be honest, things aren't really panning out quite the way I expected they would. I'm a little worried about some of that. And when that happens, you tend to second guess things, right? You tend to worry, you tend to wonder, you tend to think, am I really doing the right thing? Did I really understand God correctly? Am I just doing my own thing? Anyway, every night we have family worship. And family worship for us usually consists of a worship that's age appropriate for our, it always includes a worship that's age appropriate for our girls. So, my daughters love reading. We read different things. We read the Bible. We read, their little primary treasure or My Little Friend, or we read an Uncle Arthur's bedtime story, or, whatever. And, we also have these books, these little tiny thin books. They're VeggieTales books. They're books based off of, the VeggieTale videos that we see and stuff like that. And, so this book, I'm reading to them. It's worship one night this week. I'm reading to them Josh and the Big Wall. That's the story of Joshua fought the Battle of Jericho, right? And of course, it's filled with all kinds of silly, goofy things about, the people in Jericho are dumping slushies over the sides of the wall and stuff like that, which, makes you wonder. I'm sure that's true, not the slushy part, but I have no doubt that the people in Jericho were probably tossing unsavory things over the walls at the people as they were walking around the city. But here's the point. I know this is really simple, and I know this is maybe oversimplifying it, and I know maybe you were hoping that you'd get some sort of deep theological thing or something that's going to really carry you through the week because, wow, I never saw that from the scriptures that way before. I'm not going to share that with you tonight. What I am going to share with you is what really stood out to me, because I'm in the middle of my doubting. I'm in the middle of my frustration. I'm in the middle of my second guessing. I'm in the middle of my wondering, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing enough? Am I doing too much? Am I being stupid about all of this? And I'm reading this story to my girls. And I don't remember this part being, from the scripture, but maybe it's a little poetic license, as VeggieTales tends to do. Nothing wrong with that, I don't think. But VeggieTales says that after their first or second day of walking around the city of Jericho, the people start to complain. At least that's the VeggieTales version, right? And so the people start to complain. They're like, look, this is absolutely ridiculous. No one's ever, people don't do this. This is not how you go about doing this. None of the best strategies, none of the market analysts would ever suggest we do this. None of the most brilliant statisticians or military commanders would ever suggest that we do this. The only thing that we're supposed to be doing is walking around a wall once a day. And then on the 7th day, we walk around 7 times, and then we make a lot of noise. We shout, we, scream, we blow the trumpets, blah, blah, blah. Shouldn't we just go back? Shouldn't we go another way? Should we at least try a different tactic? And then Junior Asparagus steps up. And, Junior, he says, guys, don't you see what's happening here? We're starting to doubt God. And then Junior says, things God asks us to do don't always make sense. It didn't make sense when God told us to go ahead and walk out into the Red Sea. But he did. It didn't make sense when God said, hey, I'm going to feed you every morning. You're going to be able to pick up food from the ground. That doesn't make sense. But he did. And Junior Asparagus goes on in VeggieTales version, right? He goes on to say, we trusted God then. He showed up in a powerful way. We should trust him now. He's going to show up in a powerful way. And so, of course, the rest of the story. The VeggieTales version is, from there on, fairly similar to the rest of Scripture, or to Scripture, rather. And the walls come a-tumbling down. Here's why I want to share this with you. Because in the middle of my week, when I'm questioning my strategies, when I'm questioning my tactics, when I'm taking a look at all the things that I feel certain I've been called to do, and doing it in the way that I feel certain that I've been told to do it, and I'm not seeing or experiencing the results that I'm expecting, or even when, in fact, more to the point, not only am I not seeing the results that I'm expecting, you could very easily argue that I'm seeing nothing. I'm seeing the opposite. I'm seeing potentially bad things happen. So, with Joshua and the Battle of Jericho, yes, if they had just continued walking around, then they would have maybe wasted a week as well as their pride. But I feel like I'm walking, which doesn't make sense, right? The strategy for the children of Israel to walk around, that strategy doesn't make sense. But I feel like I'm walking, doing something God has called me to do with something that doesn't necessarily feel like it. I mean, I'm not arguing. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't seem to really make sense. But not only is it not working, but it feels like we're moving backwards. Like things aren't working out the way they should be. And I'm starting to doubt, I'm starting to question, I'm starting to wonder, I'm starting to second guess. And I'm reading this story to my girls. And Junior Asparagus from a VeggieTales book speaks to me in my life and times. And I realize God's ways are not conventional. God doesn't really care what the best church growth strategist has to say, right? God isn't concerned about what all the research says. God isn't worried about, what the experts that are experiencing it at the same time, what they're analyzing, what they're saying. And I'm not saying we should dismiss those things. I'm not saying that we should throw those things away. I'm not saying that they're worthless. I'm not saying any of that. I think that those things are very valuable. I think those people are valuable. I think those perspectives are valuable. I think we need we would be smart to sit up and pay attention to those things. And you can translate that to whatever your situation is, whether that's work or your health or your finances or whatever. I'm not saying that we should ignore the experts. What I am saying is that when God has called us to something, it doesn't matter what the experts say. When God has called us to something, it doesn't matter what the church growth strategists say. When God has called us to do something, it doesn't matter what makes sense. We just need to simply move forward in faith. And so I don't know what you're facing. I don't know what you're dealing with. I don't know what you're looking at. I don't know what kinds of things are weighing you down or worrying you or frustrating you. I don't know what kinds of things you are dealing with in your life. But my guess is you're facing something, or you have faced something, or you will face something. And God's solution doesn't always make sense. God's solution not only doesn't always make sense, but sometimes in the middle of it will feel like it's a waste of time, and it will feel like you are sacrificing your own. You're losing face. You're sacrificing your own credibility. But God isn't calling you to this. Number one, to fail. And number two, God isn't calling you to this only for his own sake. He's calling you to this to succeed. He's calling you to this so that you will succeed for the kingdom. And he's calling you to this for your own good. Think about it. The children of Israel, when they finally got past Jericho and they were able to occupy the promised land, they all got land for themselves. The land was split up, was divided among the people, and they all spread out throughout the land, and they were able to have this land for themselves to farm, or this land for themselves to graze with their sheep, or whatever it might be. God gave them something as a result of their obedience. So God got the glory, but the people also got something tangible for the time. God is calling you to be faithful to whatever it is that he's called you to, no matter how crazy it may seem, no matter how it may go against how it might defy conventional wisdom, it might go against the best strategies or the best experts. When God is calling us to something, we follow through for his glory, for our benefit. So 180 family, I don't know how this can impact your life. I don't know how this will result in making itself known in your week. But I want to encourage you with the words of Junior Asparagus. God's will and ways don't always make sense, but we need to trust him. Go in the grace of God and share the grace of God.